Empathy. Empathy is the ability to step outside of yourself and step into someone else's thought process and understand how they're feeling, what they're feeling, and why they feel that way. It's also very important to know that your capacity and your state of empathy can be expanded upon and it can be improved. You're born with the ability to have empathy, but as you grow up and develop throughout your lifespan, your capacity for empathy develops as well. Communication and empathy do go hand in hand. They intertwine and connect in several different ways, and they truly are the heart of one another. There are several techniques that you can use to expand upon and improve your empathy. I will discuss three: the yes and method, being vulnerable and connecting, and active listening. These three techniques are some of the most easy techniques to use, and they're very realistic. For people who are really truly wanting to improve their empathy skills, I suggest that you certainly take all these into consideration because they're easy and you can incorporate them into your day-to-day life. Yes and. Essentially, yes and means that you accept what another person presents you with without blocking it or denying it, and then you add to it in a constructive way. So if someone tells you, I want us to use the map to get to our location, you say, we can use the map and a GPS just to make sure we're on the right track. That way, you're not blocking out what they're saying, denying it, or discrediting it, but you're simply taking what they said and their idea and you're adding on to it to make it even more effective. This is something that can be used in any form, any setting. I think it's great for teamwork settings. It is a tool that's used in improv classes, so it can be taught. And again, this is great for teamwork, any kind of office co-worker setting where there has to be collaboration, and any kind of conversation that involves collaboration. It is great to use the yes and method. Essentially, the yes and method helps us to bridge what we're thinking, what we're feeling, to what another person is, and creating a connection between us where we connect through an idea. The yes and method is super easy to use and it is extremely effective. And it helps you be respectful, compassionate, and caring about another person's thoughts and ideas. Vulnerability and connections. Essentially, this is when you're getting personal with others, you need to be able to see them in a vulnerable state. We must also allow ourselves to be seen in a vulnerable state as well. So it is easier to connect with somebody once they knock down those barriers that they kind of put up against themselves to keep people out. When you take those barriers down and truly let people see you for who you are, you let them in to what you're thinking and to what you're feeling, it makes it so much easier to connect, and that makes feeling empathy easier. It is easy to feel empathy when you are, again, in a vulnerable state because you are, again, more willing to open up and to express how you feel and what you think to other people. And other people, when they're vulnerable, are more willing to accept what you feel and what you think. Familiarity and commonality are two things that, again, go hand in hand with vulnerability and connections. The more you have in common with the listener or speaker, the better the connection and the understanding between the two. So when you're talking to people, make sure you're saying things in a way that they can understand. It's easier to connect to someone when you guys have a commonality or something to connect over. When people first meet, they often bring up a topic. Say two people from the same hometown, they'll bring that up. You have the same favorite color, same favorite movie, same favorite book, you bring that up. Starting off with that initial connection helps to strengthen the overall relationship and, again, makes feeling empathy easier. Active listening. Active listening is essential and it is important to let others know that you hear and understand what they are saying. Active listening can be seen through physical characteristics as a way sitting up, making eye contact, nodding your head, putting in comments like, yes, I understand, I see where you're coming from, things like that. Assure the person that is speaking that you're listening and that you're engaged. An important thing is that you listen with the intent to be changed. You listen with the intent to take whatever ideas they're giving you, whatever concepts, thoughts, and feelings they're giving you, and they're going to change something about you. They'll change the way you think about something. They'll shift your state of mind about a certain subject. When you listen with the intent to understand, you don't allow your own pre-assumptions and biases to cloud your judgment, and they help you to learn. When you listen with the intent to be changed, you're listening with the intent to learn something new. And being accepting and willing to accept new information is also at the heart of empathy. Empathy is all about truly being in tune with another person. It's easier to connect and listen to someone when you are listening to what they're saying with the intent to understand at all times. Communication. Communication and empathy truly do go hand in hand. Empathy is at the heart of communication. Just like you can have better communication skills, you can also have better empathy skills, and both of those will come with practice. So the yes and method, being vulnerable and connecting, and active listening. You can practice all of those things, and those will help you build your capacity for empathy and build your communication skills. Communication only works when the other person understands something about what you're talking about. So usually in TED Talks and big speeches, the speaker will start off with a common word, a common little movie clip, video, concept, an idea that they know many people will understand. This helps to essentially bring everybody to a common ground of understanding. And when everyone's at the same level of understanding or not understanding, it helps you build up for them to learn and understand what's being presented to them. It is also the responsibility of the person who's speaking to make sure that the listener understands what they're saying. You have to take responsibility for the pace at which you talk, the tone. You set the stage for how they, with what they take away from that conversation, what they take away from that communication and interaction with you. So make sure that you speak in a way that's understandable. You don't use jargon unless they understand that. You speak on a level they understand. You're not condescending and things like that. When you communicate with people in a way that is respectful, compassionate to who they are, what they stand for, their morals and values, again, it will help with vulnerability, connections, and active listening. Communication and empathy essentially go hand in hand. Empathy has a capacity to grow and expand. Do not forget that empathy is a choice. We choose to connect with other people, and we choose to listen to other people and to feel for them. Empathy has the capacity to grow. All the ideas and concepts from this book do come from this presentation, come from the book If I Understood You, Would I Have This Look on My Face, by Alan Alda.